There probably is. I'll write it down and I'll figure it out later. But you're going to Root Beer Wrestling this weekend, right?
Yes. That's
I was all
Saturday. Yeah.
Just with Patreons. I was trying to figure that out if it was this week or it was next week where you were going. So, because I knew you were going on a Saturday, and I was like, okay, let me just hash this out so I'm not confused.
Right. Well, we just did the Patreon last weekend. Typically, we try not to double up on the Patreons. We try to space those out by a week.
Right, but
yeah.
I mean, if you were going next week, I would say just record it early, and even if you're, drop it whenever you get back. It's recorded. You could. I know you say you can set them to go out, but it's like whatever. Record it and get it done, so you're not up till 1, and then you're going to the show. Blah blah blah. That was the kind of where my mind was.
Right. Not to say that I don't have a busy weekend the weekend after or whatever it is, but yeah. No, I appreciate it. But
yeah, I have my weekend is whatever,
For certain. And then I got to figure out what's going on with going to get my books this week. Because, obviously planning to go Wednesday. Let me double check because I finally got my car in to get the brakes and the inspection done.
Mm-hmm.
And I just dropped that off yesterday, so I probably won't hear from my mechanic until tomorrow, or at the very least the next day after that.
Right. I didn't even think about that and dropping that off because I don't like to leave things there too long. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, I got to double check here. She's 9 to 5. Yeah, so I don't know when I'm going to get a chance to go get my books, but I'll figure it out.
Oh, well, if I'd known that, I would have just gave it to DJ.
It happens.
He could lose it,
Well, again, even if he loses it or whatever it is, if it's there for too long, nobody will care.
Right. I have backups because Becky says, "You want me to throw this right in the garbage?" I was like, "Go ahead, I got backups."
Yeah.
Flash drives, are cheap,
Yeah.
So.
I think we had talked about this before many, many moons ago. In the early days of flash drives being a thing, I had a keychain one that was like a 512 kilobyte one.
Ooh.
And I'd gotten a bunch from Best Buy, not affiliated with the importer-exporter location.
Mm-hmm.
And I would give them to folks at Wrestling to say, listen, this is something that probably can fit a song. You should have it on your keychain and you should have it be your theme music.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go to the show and they have the sound thing set up on a computer or whatever it is,
right,
you could just give them this, take your song, and then you don't have to worry about carting her on a CD or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Very few people listen to me, but they all borrowed my Sharpies and never gave them back, except for one guy.
I know who that guy was, and he's special.
He's a good guy.
Yeah.
Not to say that everybody else isn't good. They are. But if you ask to borrow a Sharpie and you actually give it back, you're a better guy.
That is true. And if you give a good handshake, that's even better. But
no, you're supposed to give the limp-wristed Liberace 3-finger McGillicuddy or whatever it is.
Right. But I will say I was at Best Buy today buying ink.
Oh.
For a printer. And I don't know what it is. I get real sad when I go in Best Buy these days. There's something different. But all the other times I used to go in Best Buy, every time I go in now, I'm like, something missing. And it's not as joyful when I go to Best Buy. So
it could have been joyful over this past holiday season, but they said no.
Mm-hmm. That is true. That is true. But
we had a conversation about the ink on here. You haven't got roped into the ink scam like I got roped into the ink scam?
No, that was when you told me that. That was one of those you almost had to hit the soundboard.
Yeah.
Because I was hot over that because of what they did to you. Where I was like, oh, yeah, you're getting low on ink. Do you want some, Mr. Sposo? Yes, I do. And that immediately shuts off the old ink cartridges.
I get
that.
And I'll say, since then, I haven't had any problems. But, That's
how they get you. But I went with and I never did this before. I went because it was for the Cinnabon. You know what I mean?
Ah, yes.
Because I need to print stuff out for the Cinnabon. I mean, I can print stuff out for myself. When I do my long form taxes, I just, do so many pages for myself. No, I'm just kidding. But I went and I used the debit card for the business. I was like, it's got Cinnabon right on it. I was like, okay, I'm going to take this ink, and I put it in, and I meant to hit my, your numbers or whatever, your PIN code. And I was like, I automatically hit the first number wrong, so I'm going to X out of it, and I hit red. There's a red, a yellow, and a green. I'm like, red will stop me. He goes, okay, sir, that, blah, blah, blah. And that it went through, and I'm like, went through, I X'd it out. He goes, oh, no, when you do that with your debit card, it automatically turns it in. It goes to credit instead of the debit. And I'm like, I have never used my debit card as a credit card. I don't even know how I'd pay that off. Like, I've never gotten a bill. It's never done it. So I was like, we're Xing all this out and starting over. And he's like, we can do that. He goes, just because I did it 8 seconds ago, it shouldn't even be in the thing. So he X'd it out. He's like, here, keep the receipt in case something does happen. But I've never even heard of a debit card being used as credit.
Well, I know typically when I go to, I don't think there's a bigger difference. Mm-hmm. I think it still comes out of the same account, like checking account or whatever it is.
Right.
But it just shows up as a Visa or MasterCard transaction as opposed to a bank transaction.
Right.
Not that means a difference, but
I don't know.
It's a lot to do with your financial institution. You always get that thing where it says it has the debit card thing, or if your debit card has the logo on it or whatever. Because I've never even seen a debit card that does not have a Visa or MasterCard logo on it already. Right.
Right. It does. It has. I think mine's a Visa.
Right, but I've never seen a debit card that does not have that logo on it. Is what I'm saying.
No, I know what you're saying.
And I know a lot of times, when we'll go to get gas and my wife will give me her card to use, she always says, make sure to do it as debit. Always do it as debit. Again, I don't know what the real difference is for it, but when I go to pay for my stuff at the comic book shop, I assume they're running it through as a debit, but I don't punch my number in, Mm-hmm. So I don't know. It all comes out the same way, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know. So we'll see if I have 17 charges on my card.
Yeah. Somebody who's financially smarter than I will explain this to us after this episode goes by.
Exactly. Someone who's smart about debit and credit cards. I don't know. Listen, I'm a cash man, Joe.
I like to have cash on me too. But we've talked about this before. We are quickly becoming a cashless world.
That's how they get you.
I know. Listen, there's a lot of ways that they get you. But I will have you know, on Randall's Island at Pokemon Go Fest, they are a cash business.
Good. As long as they have Wi-Fi, that's all that matters.
Well, again, mine was okay. It was AT&T that had the problem last year.
I was at the mall over the weekend to just go look for something, and I was just killing time, so I went to the mall, and I was walking around, and I walked by the AT&T store, where they sign you up or whatever. It's down there by where the FYE is and everything. And all I hear is I'm walking by, some lady in the store sir, hey, sir. And I look at, she's like, come on in. And I'm like, I have a plan. Don't scream me in your store. I was like, that's not how you're going to get my business. If you throw gift cards at me, lead a trail, something like candies or something, I'll come in. But I was like, that's so unprofessional. It just bugged me. I don't know why.
So I'll also say this. A couple of weeks ago, I was at Walmart. Mm-hmm. Had to pick up my prescription. And I decided I would look for something, right? Mm-hmm. And there was a person there wearing a Walmart shirt. And I asked them, because the Walmart up here in Wilkes-Barre, they recently kind of revamped it and moved some stuff around. And
right.
And I asked him, I go, excuse me, where's the X, whatever I was looking for? And he goes, oh, it's right over there. I go, oh, thank you very much. And he goes, while you're here, would you be interested in changing your cell phone provider? And I'm like, excuse me? And they're like, oh, yeah, we're with so-and-so, and we do the thing through this, and, you could get it through Walmart. And I go, we are with, Verizon, we're locked into our plan. I get a discount on it through my job. We're good. And goes, oh, well, we could, kind of match their thing and keep everything. I go, you know what? I just needed your help to find where the stuff was. You helped me. Thank you very much. You have a good day. Right. But to have them, it's having them just yelling at you as you're walking the mall is crazy. But to have them be like clandestine employees of the store, and then while you go up to ask them for like, oh, where are the eggs? They're like, yeah, change your cell phone plan too.
Right. And it wasn't like the lady who was doing it at the AT&T store was near the front door. Mm-hmm. She had to be like 40 feet into the store. You know what I mean? Which it wasn't like, oh, just I'm not allowed to leave the store, so I'll yell your name. It was like, no, I'm way in the back. But at least like I get if you're discussing one-on-one, face-to-face, and if that's their person's like job to sell stuff, I kind of get it, but I'm with you. It's just, I'm just tired of the hard sell on everything, Like, you already got me over a barrel for everything. Leave me alone.
Yeah. Do you remember when Radio Shack was still a thing?
Yeah.
And they had a gimmick where they had like a battery subscription thing?
That I don't remember.
Yeah, that was toward their waning days when they tried, like it was their one final gasp. Mm-hmm. That it was like you signed up for them, and whatever the device that you bought from them, if you bought the plan that was X, you would get free batteries for that thing for life.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And because I remember back in the day, too, at Best Buy when, it was more comforting to go in, there was always somebody in the back who was trying to sell direct TV to you, like near the TV
yes.
and DVDs and CDs and stuff. And it was always like, be like, I don't want direct TV. Thank you. Like, don't even bother me. Like, I'm not making eye contact with you, and that's my showing you. I don't even want to hear your goddamn voice,
I just learned the other day that Dish Network still exists.
My neighbor has Dish Network on the roof, and it's a fresh dish on it, not it was there, mm-hmm. a fresh one, because they didn't have cable before, or they had cable before. And now I come home one day, I was like, they have a dish on their roof? Jesus.
If you had asked me 3 days ago, is Dish Network still a company, I would have bet hundreds of thousands of dollars on no.
Man, that's the opportunity I wish I got on you.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I told you I went to Pokemon. Everything was good. It was just too goddamn hot. People took mm-hmm. cash for stuff, so that was good. And again, I don't have to say this is not a soundboard show, and it's never going to become a soundboard show. So I'm going to lament a little bit here. Okay.
All right.
This is going to be my gripe for the week. Pretend I played all heat, no heaters here, right?
Okay. I might gripe right after you about something.
All right. Good. And then we'll wrap this up and get to the main show, because we've got a big main show this week, right?
Right.
So we did the Pokemon Go in New York last year. Everybody had a great time. This year comes up. They announced it's going to be in New York. The day tickets go on sale. We get the tickets. I had my tickets in March, right? Mm-hmm. Well, actually, and side note, one of the best things about the Pokemon Go trip being over was I could delete all the emails that were associated with it from my inbox.
Right.
Such a good feeling to have like that inbox getting smaller and smaller,
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so about a month or so ago, Asa mentions that his little friend wants to go, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I contact the friend's father and I say, hey, Asa mentioned kid wanted to go. We got our tickets like in March. What's up? And he's like, yeah, we were thinking about going. I got a thing the next day. we don't know if we're going to go separately. We don't know if we're going to go with you guys. Because if I do, then the wife and the daughter are going to want to go and like do a thing in New York, like the actual city while we're doing Pokemon. I go, okay, let me know when you know. Here's the link to buy the tickets. Here's the link to get the ferry to go across. Here's everything you need. That was a month ago. Week goes by. I just touch base. I go, hey, just double checking, seeing if you got the tickets for the thing yet. No, I don't know if we're going to go. Okay. No problem. Another week goes by. Yeah, you know what? We changed our mind. We're going to go. Okay. So here's the thing. We're going the Saturday. We're going the afternoon thing. We're doing this side. There's a north and a south start because there's like hundreds of thousands. Hundreds. There's thousands and thousands of people there that try to divide you up so that you're doing things in a different order so everyone's not in one spot. Whatever. This is our start. This is our thing. We got our ferry tickets. Here's the link for the ferry tickets again. Cool. All right. And then I'm like, hey, I know we had said to leave this time. Do you think we can meet like a half hour beforehand? Just in case we run into traffic, just so we have time, just so we're not rushing, just so we're not everything. Mm-hmm. Oh, Saturday comes. Wake up, drinking my coffee. I see Saturday is sold out. Send him a message. I go, you guys got your tickets, right? Yep, got our tickets. I go, I just saw the thing sold out, man. It's going to be packed. It's going to be fun. Let's go. Let's rock and roll, right? So we're driving there, and he's putzing around on his phone. And he's like, I go, oh, is everything okay? He goes, yeah, just, because he was having troubles when he was registering it. He's like, oh, I got my account in, but I couldn't get my kid's account in. What add-ons did you guys do? Did you not do any add-ons? Whatever, right?
Right.
And it turns out he got the tickets for the Pokemon, but he never got the tickets for the ferry to go across to the island. Right?
Right.
So I'm driving, and he's fucking around on his phone. And April's like, Joe, can you help him do this? And I go, well, I'm driving. I go, I sent him the link. And like, he's sitting right there. And I'm like, I sent him the link. It's called this. He should be able to get it through that. And then April's like, well, how about you just pull the car over? Ugh. We'll switch. And then you can help him do this. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, no, we're good. He'll figure it out. And he did figure it out. Right? So he gets there. And April wants to make sure that the kids have the experience going over on the ferry. So it's me and the two kids going over on the ferry. And it's him and her. Well, he's trying to fumble around and get an Uber. And then he's trying to install the Uber app on his phone. Uh-oh. And then he has to make a login for it. And April's just like, well, I already have it on my phone. I'll just get the Uber as well, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So going over, no problem. Coming back, he has to drop them off on the highway, and they have to walk down to the parking garage from the highway in New York City.
Right.
And I'm a 47-year-old man, and I kind of ride life by the seat of my pants, and I always like to be prepared at the very least, especially if I'm leaving my house, especially if I'm driving in a car, especially if I'm going to another state. I like to make sure everything is planned out accordingly ahead of time, and especially if there's other people that are going, and my decisions or lack thereof are going to impact the time and everything else of everyone else. Mm-hmm. And for a good chunk of the day, it really ruined my fucking day.
Right.
Because when they had went off, and it was like alone with April, like, because we were in a group of us a few times, it was just me and April. And I'm like, I can't believe how fucking unprepared he was. Like, he knew about a month ago. And mm-hmm. I texted him several times, and I texted him the links, and I walked him through registering and everything else, and he still didn't have the thing. And like, I felt bad because April made the decision to not go over on the ferry because she wanted the two kids to go over, and I would have said, fuck it. Like, he's the one who screwed up. You go with him. You know what I mean?
Yep. I would have been like, you just ruined your kid's day. Live with that for the rest of your life.
Right.
You know, it's not my job to make sure your family's happy. It's my job to make sure my family's happy.
And right. But part of making my family happy is my kid getting to do the thing that he wants to do with his friend.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Kid better know how to swim, but go ahead.
So when we're all said and done, at the end of the thing, he's like, oh man, I'm real sorry. You know, I thought I had everything running. I go, yeah, it's fine. And then we went out to eat afterwards, and he paid for our dinner or whatever it was. And it was one of those things where we didn't eat in the city. We went to world famous Hibernia Diner, exit 37 off Route 80. Not a sponsor. If nobody's dying of a heroin overdose on a picnic table in the back, you're going to have a good time.
Right.
And it was one of those things where it was like late at night. It was later at night. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to get breakfast or whatever it was. But I definitely had that tinge in the back of my head where there's been times where we've gone out to eat after wrestling or whatever. And I always say, oh, it's my treat.
Oh,
and
not after that day.
And then there's always a person that's like, oh, well, I'm going to get like the lobster and I'm going to get a burger to go.
Oh, I know. A to-go steak. I know who that is.
Yeah.
I was there for one of those.
And I really thought to myself, I'm like, do I go with like the special plus a soup plus have a drink and the whole thing? And I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm going to eat what I want. I'm getting a $12 omelet. I'm going to get a coffee. Like my meal is going to be $15 at the most. Whatever April gets, she eats like a rabbit. She got like a salad and like a tea, you know? Mm-hmm. And Asa got like 2 pancakes and a scrambled egg, you know?
Right.
So, like, okay, he got off easy with that, but at least he offered to pay. At least he said he was sorry. He's a grown-ass man. Again, I don't need another grown-ass man who I am not related to or does not live in my house. Grown-ass person to say I'm sorry. You know, again, I'm an adult. I'll just know that I can't include you in things anymore because you're irresponsible.
Right.
And you're an adult and you should be more responsible. Like, you'd mentioned at the start of the show, we're going to root beer wrestling this weekend. It's me, it's Brett, it's DJ, it's Adam. And it's one of those things where DJ is like, hey, it's Monday. Let's work out the plan to get this going. Right. Mm-hmm. And we're all banting back and forth. And DJ was able to get his car. And I go, I could do it. I go, we're down a car. I go, if I get my car back by Saturday, there's not going to be a problem. I go, but there's like a slight chance that there could be more that's wrong with my car. I go, but the fact that he's getting in touch with us, like if plans need to change, we have time to change them. Right? And that's why DJ's a good person, Brett's a good person, Adam's a good person, because they have that mindset, they have that gene to work on those plans and make the schedule ahead of time so that it doesn't come to Saturday and we're all standing around with our thumbs up our asses like, I don't know how we're getting to Ohio today.
Yep. I mean, I don't know how many times, like, that's one thing I'll say with any crew that I've ever gone to the conventions that I've gone with.
Yeah.
It's like planned out. It's like, okay, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're doing this. Like, who's in? Everybody's in. All right, so this is the bunch of us who are going. What days are you going? What days are you going? All right, this is all of us. We're going in the car. And it's done. The only thing is, like, as you get closer, it's like, what time do we want to leave? Where do we want to meet? You know what I mean? Like, that's what it. Like, we leave only a couple of things till the end. The hotel room's taken care of. You know, there's nothing left to chance because we don't want it to go sideways, you know?
Right.
And I always joke, and I tell this story every time, I'll never forget the shock on your wife's face and your face when we went to Baltimore for the first time for the JLI panel.
Yep.
And I knocked on the door like 10, 15 minutes early.
Yep.
And your wife's like, what are you doing here? I said, you know, traffic. I don't know. I'd rather be a little bit early. And if you tell me sit on the fucking steps, I will, but at least I'm not late.
Yep.
And she goes, in all the years that like Joe has done wrestling and track, it was like, nobody's early.
Nope.
And I'm like, well, I may be a fuck up in other things. I may go, you tell me what to do and I'll come along. Like, you plan it out. And you tell me what time, and I'll be there.
Todd's good at following orders.
Exactly. I'm not going to throw a monkey wrench into whatever you're doing. I will play good soldier, and I will be there 20 minutes early.
Right.
But so
that's it. Like I said, it wasn't so much as an event, but it was just like I already had this conversation with April, but she was like, "Oh, it's not that big of a deal."
It is to me.
Okay. Again, maybe it shouldn't be that big of a deal to me, but it's out. I feel better.
Gotcha. It's understandable.
So what's your thing you wanted to vent on?
And this was one that you probably have written down in past notes, but I have to bring it up, that the ringtone maker is dead.
Oh, shit, that's right.
So the other day, and I don't know how long ago this was, because we've been going back and forth with jokes on the like that not a lot of people were getting them, but about the ringtone maker. But one day I went to make something. It might have been for one of the Patreons. I was going to get a I know what it was. When this show was going to be a sound clip show, I was going to get a certain Doctor Who sound clip.
Oh.
And I was like, okay, I could rip it from the YouTube and make it an MP3, and then I could just clip it as the MP3. So I clipped the YouTube thing, the video, as an MP3, and I had it. And I went to the YouTube maker, or the ringtone maker, to do the thing where, like, all right, you set it here, and you set it here, and it makes it, and whatever. And then you save it as whatever. And the ringtone maker won't let me do any of that anymore. I'm not even sure what it'll let me do, but it won't let me edit. It won't let me take a file that's in my phone. That's what I used to do. If I had an MP3 that was 5 minutes long, I could clip out 30 seconds of it. It won't let me do that anymore. It will only let me find whatever like sounds, or like it might have the Mario like coin hitting the coin in the box or whatever. It might have something like that, or it might just have a dozen other, or it might have a theme song for your ringtone, but you can't make them anymore with it, which is what I used it for, to get the many dazzling sound clips that I would send to you over the years. But
again, I know you're from your phone sort of person, but I would almost guarantee that there are probably different apps that you could find that do that sort of thing.
Oh,
but it's the transferring from an MP3 to your phone to the whatever the program app or whatever is, and then getting that from the phone to a PC or whatever it is. I think there might be concerns with that, where it's like once you put it into that app, you could clip it and cut it and edit it, but then it only exists in that app, unless you're getting like the raw data files out of an app, which again, I don't know how to do any of that.
Right. I don't know, because I looked in my the Google store that there are plenty of like MP3 editing apps.
Yes.
But it's like, I could go find another one. I mean, I don't know what'll be there and what'll, like, maybe it can do as you were saying, and maybe it can't. I don't know. But the one that was the end all be all that I understood, and all joking aside, I could do various other things with it. But just because I've been, not in it, I did not know, because it was automatically updating over time, that all this went away. And like I said, I looked, maybe I can get another one, but I feel like I'm just going to let it die, if that makes any sense. I'm just like, if I need a sound clip, there's got to be somebody in the Discord who can help me,
Right.
Because, I'm going to be like, I'm going to have the sound clip ready for Joe and also my ferry ticket. Oh, no, wait, somebody else do it. So,
oh, my goodness.
That's all I was saying. Just go ahead.
I was going to say, you mentioned about the Discord. You can get in the Discord by signing up for the Patreon.
Mm-hmm.
Patreon.com/longboxheroes. You can get the bonus shows that Todd and I do, previewing the past and comic book oddities. Studebaker was in this week.
Uh-oh.
I got to see him twice this week.
Right.
I talk about my podcast as though it's real to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I could tell he's not a listener.
What?
Yeah.
Did you ask him about me uploading it to through Dunkin' Donuts back in the day?
No, I forgot to ask about that.
Mm-hmm.
I was on a podcast this week. We plugged it on the main show, and one of the guys that I was on the show with, it was all wrestling stuff. And he had asked me about my show, and I go, "Oh, you." I go, the Longbox Hero show is not for you. I go, unless you're really steeped in like the comic book stuff, like we are. I don't want to say the show's a little impenetrable, but if you're not reading comics currently, and you're just like, I want to support Joe and listen to his comic book show,
right? Now, was this on mic or off mic?
I'm pretty sure it was on mic.
Okay, well, see, Joe, let me give you a little information about guest starring on other podcasts, because I've done it so many times. The host might not be interested, but you know who might be interested?
The listeners.
There you go. There you go. From the same guy who, when I was on a podcast, I was like, I'm not really big on pushing my podcast, and like kind of gave me the tongue lashing for it. I'm like, you push this goddamn podcast, Joe.
So I will say this to explain to myself. It was one of the guys that it was a game show sort of thing. It was one of the other guys that I competed against. It's somebody that I've known for almost 20 years. He don't know nothing. He don't read, like, I think he knows Archie comics, right?
Right.
And I said to him, I appreciate it. I go, but it would just be like so over your head, the stuff that we talk about on there. I go, but that's not for me to say that everyone should go to the podcast, whether you read comics currently or not. Just play the episodes. I go, or even better yet, sign up for the Patreon.
Right. Just never mind. I'm not going to say ching. But anyway.
Right. I'm not going to say listen to the show and take copious notes on what our thoughts are on the new Ultimate DC Universe stuff.
Oh,
just play the show silently behind the scenes, sign up for the Patreon, and then, I don't know, don't listen to the shows, listen to the shows, read the previous catalogs, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. This was After Dark something or other 503. Sure.
Why not?
Yeah, sure. Why not? See you next week, everybody.
You're listening to the soon-to-be-named network, the Lamborghini of podcast networks.